When a president is living in the White House, his time there is illuminated by the spotlight. But when that president becomes a former president and the White House becomes the home of his predecessor, where does he go? For someone like President Obama, the answer is to remain in Washington, D.C. But that's an anomaly. In fact, he's the first president to do so since 1921. Read on for the details on where he's headed next, and the places 5 presidents before him chose as their new locales. President Obama, Kalorama, Washington, D.C. Plant, property, shrub, house, building, residential area, roof, stairs, real estate, home. I'm like the old guy at the bar where you went to high school, right? Still kinda hanging around like his shirt's buttoned a little too low, still thinks he's cool. That's exactly the description President Obama gave Jimmy Kimmel about himself in an interview last month when discussing his plans to stay in Washington, D.C. after his presidency. Come on, Obama, you know you'll always be cool after that drop the mic move. More specifically, the Obama family will unpack in Colorama, a neighborhood just 2 miles away from the White House. The exclusive area has been home to past presidents both before and after their terms. Think Woodrow Wilson, William Howard Taft, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Warren G. Harding, and Herbert Hoover. Before the Obamas purchased it, the 8,200 square foot house they're moving into in Colorama belonged to Joe Lockhart, who was the press secretary and senior advisor to former President Bill Clinton from 1998 to 2000. Former President George W. Bush, Dallas, Texas. Known well for having a deep fondness of his home state, former President George W. Bush purchased a multi-million-dollar 8,500 square foot home in the Dallas neighborhood of Preston Hollow shortly before his second term ended in 2009, reports the Wall Street Journal. According to the Miller Center at University of Virginia, he and former First Lady Laura Bush became part of the Dallas community very quickly by hosting barbecues at the home and partaking in local events. The family had lived in Dallas before, from 1988 to 1995, before moving to Austin to live in the Texas governor's mansion. While the price tag for Bush's homes is thought to have been quite large, the median price for homes currently listed in Preston Hollow is $549,500, or $221 per square foot, just slightly higher than the Dallas average of $189, according to Zillow. Former President Bill Clinton, Chappaqua, New York. In 1999, shortly before the end of his term, the Clintons paid $1.7 million for an 11-room home in Chappaqua, New York. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton was preparing to run for the United States Senate. The white Dutch colonial house is shaped somewhat like a barn and is situated in a tree-lined cul-de-sac at 15 Old House Lane. In recent years, it was conveniently a short commute from Hillary Clinton's campaign headquarters in Brooklyn. It has 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and a pool. Today, experts at Trulia estimate it will be worth around $2.7 million. In September, the Clintons also purchased a $1.16 million house next door, but the jury's still out on what it will be used for. Former President George W. H. Bush, Kennebunkport, New York. Though it certainly isn't a new residence for Bush, his family compound was one of the first places he returned to after leaving the White House. Following his presidency, he and former First Lady Barbara Bush split their time between Houston, Texas and Kennebunkport, Maine, where the Bush family has owned property for more than a century. When Jeb Bush announced his presidential campaign last year, the compound started receiving more attention than usual as tourists traveled to the oceanside town for a glimpse of the mansion, reports the Washington Post. Still, locals are said to keep the exact location quiet out of respect for the family, and the house is protected by the Secret Service. According to the Washington Post, George and Barbara Bush still spend 6 months every year at the compound, flying the Texas flag when they're there. Former President Ronald Reagan, Bel Air, California. Once Reagan's presidency ended in 1989, he retired to the wealthy Los Angeles neighborhood of Bel Air. It was actually purchased for the Reagans by their friends in late 1986 for $2.5 million, according to the Los Angeles Times. After his presidency, Reagan spent time in the home creating his memoirs and supervising the Ronald Reagan Presidency Library in Simi Valley, California. His suite of offices were in nearby Century City, and he enjoyed riding horses at his ranch just northwest of Santa Barbara. The approximately 7,000 square foot house with 17 rooms across 2 floors sold to billionaire Jerry Parashino in July 2016 for $15 million, reports the Los Angeles Times. Well, what do you think of the list? Would you like some more videos on presidential topics? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.